The U.S. has given very bad advice, very mixed advice in Gaza, preventing the Israelis from finishing it. I provided the Israelis a fully funded, donated ability to flood Gaza with water, with seawater.
Erik Prince, the guy behind Blackwater, just pitched a $25 billion plan to mass deport 12 million people before the 2026 midterms.
Former Blackwater CEO Erik Prince has pitched the Trump White House on a proposal to carry out mass deportations through a network of processing camps on military bases, a private fleet of 100 airplanes, and a, quote, small army of private citizens empowered to make arrests. The blueprint carries an estimated price tag of $25 billion and recommends a range of aggressive tactics to rapidly deport 12 million people before the 2026 midterms. So, $25 billion to have Blackwater set up a private army and a private air force in the United States that answers just to Trump and that rounds up people and puts them in camps.
We now know the mastermind behind the mass legal extraditions to El Salvador, and no, it's not Stephen Miller. According to Politico, the real architect is Erik Prince, Blackwater founder, former Navy SEAL. Same Erik Prince whose company committed war crimes overseas and still walked away with hundreds of millions of dollars in government grants, government contracts. In a bombshell Politico report, Prince was exposed for proposing a privatized extradition plan involving El Salvador's mega prison CICOT. El Salvador's own Minister of Justice confirmed in writing that Erik Prince is the mastermind, calling him a trade agent for the plan. Next phase, according to insiders, involves denaturalizing U.S. citizens, using technicalities, tattoos, even activism as grounds for deportation.
We now know the evil mastermind behind the illegal extraditions to El Salvador. So all the credit should go to Michigan's trashiest Nepo baby, Erik Prince. Don't forget that this piece of shit founded the privatized military company Blackwater, which made him even wealthier off of government contracts. And because this country loves to reward the wealthy, Blackwater and its affiliates became the largest of the State Department's 3 private security companies. Even after Blackwater became infamous for human rights violations, it was still rewarded with hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts. Prince himself continued to escape accountability even after he was investigated by the FBI and had to settle for nearly $50 million for trafficking military equipment. Prince has also made a name for himself by supporting bad actors who aim to take power by force. On Friday, Politico reported that it obtained a proposal by Erik Prince and a cohort of defense contractors to industrialize illegal extraditions to El Salvador. In this proposal, the evil geniuses outline a strategy to circumvent the courts, namely by designating part of the prison, which is CICOT, as American territory. If that business deal is made, Erik Prince would get the contract. And that explains why Erik Prince registered a new company called 2USV in Wyoming on Wednesday. Now, Prince has been working behind the scenes on this plan for months. It also explains why the United States boosted El Salvador's safe travel rating on Tuesday. A person who lobbied for that change was Erik Prince. The proposal that was obtained by Politico highlights Erik Prince's plans for profiting off of mass extraditions. As part of the proposal, Erik Prince will facilitate an operation that would handle the logistics of gathering 100,000 people from U.S. prisons, holding them at a 10,000-person detention camp, and then flying them to El Salvador. Prince is also asking the government for access to immigration documents. And the reason he wants access to those documents is to give him broader authority over locating, capturing, detaining, and deporting people. The proposal states that 2USV will, quote, facilitate a hearing before an immigration judge to adjudicate any pending asylum claim. The administration wants to make CICOT American territory to get around any legal barriers, as it says here that transferring a prisoner to such a facility would not be an extradition nor a deportation. The administration would then lease the prison back to El Salvador in order for them to oversee the Gulag. In a letter attached to Prince's proposal, El Salvador's Minister of Justice and Public Security, Hector Gustavo Villatoro, stated that Erik Prince was the mastermind of all of this. The letter states that through his new company, 2USV, Eric Prince has been serving as a trade agent for El Salvador to, quote, reach an agreement on the use of El Salvador's prisons to house foreign criminals. Now, Prince has been cooking up this scheme for a very long time. He began pitching this idea with El Salvador last year.
Eric Prince, real pleasure. Nice meeting you. I saw you speak at CPAC. It's fantastic.
Prince acknowledges in his proposal that his business plan is not legally sound. Proposal states that it's, quote, highly likely that this effort will be tested judicially by the ACLU or other activist group. Now, Prince's business scheme isn't just to extradite immigrants, it's also to extradite U.S. citizens. That's why the administration has been laying the groundwork the last couple weeks. The next phase of this scheme involves Stephen Miller's plan to denaturalize American citizens and extradite them to El Salvador. The person would have to commit high crimes and misdemeanors against the United States. That includes committing the big T's, enlisting in a foreign military engaged in opposition to the U.S., or lying in applications for citizenship or as part of the naturalization process. So Miller has been lobbying to, quote, possibly denaturalizing and deporting activists and other individuals whom they label as having committed so-called fraud on their applications for citizenship by subsequently supporting what the administration decides are pro-terrorist causes or groups. In other words, the administration is looking to quash dissent by classifying protests as advocating for terrorism. As Kika Matos, the president of the National Immigration Law Center, said, quote, what's to stop the administration from using the same pretext they used to send people to El Salvador and claiming that these U.S. citizens are the worst offenders? She continued, quote, they could start engaging in the same kind of pretextual deportation of people for whom the offenses at the end of the day might have something to do with what you say, how you live your life, what tattoos you have on your body. One tool that the administration already has at its disposal is the denaturalization section under the Civil Division of the Department of Justice, which was created during his first term.
Eric Prince, CEO of the military contractor Blackwater and Trump advisor, said on his podcast that the United States should recolonize Africa and Latin America.
And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to just put the imperial hat back on to say we're going to govern those countries instead of actually
All right, hold
making
on a
the
second.
country
Hold on.
better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Eric Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely.
That type of rhetoric is hardly shocking coming from a guy like Prince. Blackwater is drenched in blood, most notoriously from the 2007 Nasser Square massacre in Baghdad, in which 4 of its mercenaries fired on a crowd of unarmed people.
Blackwater say the White Keir stopped, as you well know, because you've discussed this far more than I have. All of the eyewitnesses there say that there was no White Keir heading towards you. The US colonel who turned up on the day said that there was no enemy activity involved. He said it was a criminal event and an excessive shooting. A US court of law in December prosecuted one of your men for first-degree murder for killing Ahmed Rubai and his mother at Nisour Square.
yes.
And 3 other, hold on, let me finish. 3 other men were prosecuted for manslaughter. 4 of your men, murder and manslaughter, in not Iraqi courts, US courts.
The killers were pardoned by Donald Trump.
Blackwater never disappeared. It just changed its name and allies. This is their base, hidden deep in the desert, where something is unfolding that the public must never know. Academy, formerly Blackwater, has been operating from the shadows for years. Now new evidence reveals they've been secretly collaborating with Russia's Wagner Group, creating a powerful network of private armies ready for global operations. With Trump's return, Academy has been reactivated. Its founder, Eric Prince, accidentally uncovered details of a secret operation that had been hidden from the public for years. Shortly after, he secured a $25 billion contract with the U.S. government, promising to eliminate all threats to U.S. global dominance. However, leaked documents suggest this deal is only part of a much bigger plan. Their plan? Coordinated efforts with Wagner to dismantle opposition, infiltrate governments, and quietly take control. Leaked documents describe operations to overthrow regimes, manipulate elections, and spread chaos, all to ensure private military forces gain control over key regions of power.